First step to do is to get your jack out, put it under the axle here. I just run off the suspension on there, gets nice and strong, and it limits to how much the jack's going to go up, so the more stable the jack will be. Before you lift the wheel up, you just want to crack all the wheel nuts as you saw me do. That prevents the wheel from spinning in the air, especially if you don't have a handbrake, which is why I'm taking the brakes out. Then you take the wheel off. I like to put the wheel under the car, so that way if the jack does fall, that it's still going to land on the wheel and then doesn't damage anything here. Right, so what you want to do is, this is a drum brake setup. So I'll show you once I open this up, but what you need to do is you need to take this drum off. Sometimes you can just do it by hitting here. Try not to hit the studs at all. But if that doesn't work, there are more cases than not. There's these screw holes, bolt holes here. What you do is you just put a bolt with the same thread in there, and then just wind the bolt in, and then the bolt will press against the backing plate and just push the drum off with it as it grips onto the thread. So yeah, I'm going to try and hit it off, and if not, I'll find some bolts and stuff to put it in. Sometimes you need two, sometimes you get away with one, sometimes you don't even need any. We'll just see what we need. Once I got it off, I'll show you guys how to take it off, so that way you guys can do it at home, which is what this whole video is about. Okay, so what we're looking at here is this is the clip. This is the little pin thing that goes in between that hole. It comes in from behind and holds it. It's got that big, it's like a bolt sort of thing. It's got a big surface that mounts to get the backing plate. And then we got this little jimneys. We've got this little spring one. There is more options, different cars, they're different ones. Jimneys have these ones. So pretty much what happens is this pin goes through there, and it has little tab things there to lock against. So that's shut, so that way the pin can't pull out, and that retaining clip's holding pressure against the brake pad to hold the brake pad there while it's moving. So what you want to do is you want to twist that so it can pull out. It's like, because if it's holding against there, it can't pull out because of them notches there. That's what I like to do well, especially when just pulling it off. I like to get some needle nose pliers. And literally all I do is just twist that, and then it'll be a slide out. And the pressure will just fall out once it goes through our holes. It'll just be able to fall out. Yes, I'm filming all this by myself, so I apologise if you can't see fully what's going on. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this pin, there's a hole back there, that one there, where is it? That one there. And you have to put the pin at a bit of an angle to put it in, wiggle it around a bit. And it's going to come through that brake caliper hole, just like that. And then what I'm going to do is going to put the big circle side through, on like that, and then you're gonna compress this spring while twisting that. The easiest way I find to do it is if you get one finger on the head of the little pin thing at the back, and twist it like that. You can see it's moving there, and then you get your pair of pliers, and you just sort of just push it back down like that. It is a bit of a challenge, and I'm going to need 2 hands for it, so I'm going to have to give you guys a good why. There we go, it actually wasn't that hard to put in. Must have been done a couple times before. The new ones, these pins are going to be wider, so they're going to be further to compress too. So yeah, the new one's going to be a lot harder to put in. Not quite sure how hard yet, but yeah, we'll see. I'll let you know. So I'm going to try and do the same thing as we do the other side. And just try and tap it with a hammer. And if not, or this has got the bolt holes too, so I'll just get a bolt in there. There we go. Took a little bit longer than the other side, but this one too is off. There you can see, I don't have anything inside there. That's just what it looks like it's naked. So here we're going to put all the shoes and everything together. The only thing in there is the brake. Where is it? Down there. The handbrake cable, and that's all it's been. Yeah, let's get to it. Now, where is it? There it is down there. There you are. So what you want to do is you want to get side cutters and push that spring back, which is then revealing the just a wire behind or whatever, and that way wire can go through and lock into there. It's got a little bolt in the end of the wire, and the spring will sit on this side. Because the spring is too fat to fit through down there, which is the reason of it, so it doesn't, yeah, so it'll pull back out. So the spring doesn't push back in, sorry. So yes, the first thing you do is put the caliper in and then put that spring thing in with the side cutters. Now that handbrake cable is on the pad, you put the piston in. So make sure these pins are rotated correctly to the pads, so the pads go up and down. So when that's bolted in, you want these pins here up and down, so that's slightly twisted. There we go, that's better. And the other side, that's pretty good there. So bolt holes down the bottom, and then you can see there that the bolts are down the bottom, so you want to line them up there like that. And then you simply just want to bolt it in. Just do them up finger tight for now. Just don't do them all the way up. Now they got them finger tight. I like to rotate this so that it's in line with the bolt hole, so you get maximum access with the locating pins. Then what you want to do is move the pad so it sits in that slot there, and you can put the pin through the hole there. And then you just push the pin on. I'll show you a trick, but why not a trick? I'll show you how the way I do it. Alright, I now got those retaining clips in. It took very longer than I thought. I ended up having to take the piston out. If that happens, you can easily just push these side bits in, just to slide them inside these brake pads, and then just wiggle it around till the bolt holes are lined up and stuff, and then just can't really back up to finger tight. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to tighten, I'm going to put the brake line on. Sorry. But these are known for just going in the wrong way, and just not on jimnys, on normal cars. So make sure your piston, you might have to loosen a bit, but make sure it's like heaps wobbly. And make sure, you gotta really make sure you're not crossing it. I'm gonna clean up the threads on that first. Just with a toothbrush or something, or a wire brush if I've got one. And then I'm gonna tighten up those two 10mm on the piston. And then pretty much just got a couple of springs and that adjust the plate thing to go, and then they were done. Once you've got the piston and brake line nice and tight, there's this little adjuster stopper, locker, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, so it sits on with the step out, and you make sure that top clip there is behind that brake line thing, and that last clip is not touching but very close to touching, just resting on them sort of thing. And then you're going to get the big spring, and one end's going to go around it up there, and the other end is going to plug into that hole there. So I'm going to put it on that top first, and I'm going to reach it down to that one. So there we are, just a bit of side cutter work. Took about 10 seconds to put on. And the last of all is that little spring. It's going to go between, hook into both sides of the brake pad and go behind that little, whatever that is. I think it's just to hold the clip on. Yeah, same thing. I'm just going to put it on one side. Probably going to put it on that side because there's less room. And just a bit of side cutter work, and then just going to reach it over to that side. And there we are. It's in. And then we just go put the drum back on and adjust it all up so it's all, so the brakes are very close to the drum but not touching the drum. And then we'll have a nice, and then we'll be able to adjust the handbrake cable after that to suit. There's one more thing to note. I'm not doing it because I don't have any at the moment. But you're supposed to put some brake, get the name of it, brake pad grease or something, just on those little knobs. You got little tabs on the like these things here. You got little tabs on the brake pads, and they're just going to sit against there. And you're supposed to put grease on there. I never do. Never had a problem with it either. So the last and final step to do is you got to bleed the brakes. You don't have to do it unless you replace the piston or take off the brake line or anything like that. And to bleed the brakes, what you do is you need 2 people for this. You get someone else in the car, and you pump the brake pedal about 10 times, long, slow presses, and then you tell them to hold it down, and then while they're holding it down, you've got to crack this nipple here, and then brake fluid shoot out. The best way to do it is to have like a plastic hose that comes off, and then you have like, so the hose will come off here, and it'll come down here, and you hold it up to like something like that or something, and you'll see the at the bottom of the hose you'll see all the air bubbles if there's any air bubbles. And what you do is you want to keep on doing it until there's no more air bubbles coming through. But if you don't do it, well then you sort of just have to guess, depending on the spray. So if there's all like splattered spray, well then pretty good bet you got air bubbles. If you don't have any splattered spray, well then do a couple more just to make sure there's no more air bubbles. That's what I generally try to do. And then the fuel pedal, if it feels squishy, well keep on doing it. If it does, it feels like an old brake pedal, well then you're good to go. And then what you gotta do is just adjust that wheel so the brake pads are just about on the disc, sorry, on the drum, and then you just gotta adjust the handbrake cable just to suit. And that's it.